Okay, so as it's raining again outside, welcome to December in Wales. I've been down the wall training and I thought I'd do another video on Mount Bannister here. We're going to look at abseiling today, how to set up an abseil. First thing is that we need to get a rope in place to abseil on. Okay, we're going to do what we normally do in trad and use 2 ropes to abseil on. We've climbed up on halves probably. So we're going to put them through a belay that we've built if we're retreating, or it might be some tap around a tree. Maybe we're climbing traumatic, there's a tap with a mail on it, something like that. We're going to use the banisters though. I'm going to find my anchor, handily placed, and just put one end through. Okay, I've now got to join the ropes. There's quite a few ways of joining ropes. Traditional method was double fisherman's. That works really well. Quite bulky though, so I'm going to use an overhand knot. So I'm going to pull through an armful's worth of slack in the tails, overhand around both ropes, and pull it nice and tight. Okay, I'm going to pull the opposite strands to make sure this is a properly dressed knot. This is super important, this knot, isn't it? And because I'm a bit paranoid about abseiling, I'm going to chuck in a second one there as well, touching the original overhand. It takes seconds to do it, just gives me that extra level of safety. Overhands can roll open, so that second one will stop that happening. Okay, just going to pull the ropes out of the way there, get that knot up round through the anchor. I'm going to show you 2 methods to abseil. The first one isn't my one of choice, but it's one that you'll see being done quite regularly at crags. Yeah, it works, but I think it's got some disadvantages to it. I'll clip my belay plate onto my belay loop in readiness, and then get my prusik. Prusik length, kind of inside your thumb to bicep. This one's 5mm of cord, tied with double fisherman's. Little tails are long enough they're not going to get sucked through. I'm going to use a French prusik, and a French prusik is the one to use because it releases under load. So if we do get hit by that rock, dangling in space, then we can just knock it and start again. Alright. If it's any other prusik like a clem heist or a classic, you're going to have to unweight that prusik to then release it, which is doable. It's just extra faff that we don't want to be dealing with. So French prusik is nice and neatly, you're going to wrap around both those ropes. 4, 5, 6 wraps, just depends on the combination of rope and prusik. I can test it now anyway. It's going to pull on that, it's locking, that's what it should do, and it'll still slide up and down. So that's good. Screw gate, this is like a mega safety thing, so there's no reason not to use a screw gate. I'm going to clip that to my leg loop. Make sure it's in, do it up. And I'm going to pull my bit of slack through. When I throw the ropes off, which I've probably done already at this point, you potentially have like 100 meters worth of rope out, and that's quite heavy, which makes it quite hard to load the belay plate sometimes. So if you put the prusik on first, you can use it to your advantage. It'll grip the rope and give you a bit of slack. Remember, when you've thrown the ropes, always tie a knot in the end of each rope, just an overhand about 1 meter from the end, just in case we're not concentrating. We could really easily abseil off the end of the rope, and it's not worth thinking about that, is it? So just put a knot in, one in each rope, stops them getting quite so twisted, and if you do, just one big knot in both the ropes. Okay, Prusik's on, put the ATC on as well. Do the grab up, of course, I can slide it up, slide my Prusik up. Okay, make sure they lock. Okay, just by weighting that, okay, that's all locking. I'm not going to do that near the edge. I don't want to test a Prusik by some Darwin Award kind of thing by the edge. I want to do it where it's nice and safe. So it does slip, doesn't matter, and I'm covering the rope. Got my hands on it all the time, but it is locking, so we're okay. So I can abseil off just by sliding that down, and off I go. Now my issue with this method of abseiling is if I do end up relying on this Prusik because I've been hit by that rock, or I've slipped on the greasy rock, whatever it might be, it doesn't have to be super dramatic, but for whatever reason I've ended up letting go. Maybe I've been turned upside down or spun round, which is absolutely conceivable. If I do get spun round and my leg lifts up, well, that Prusik is just going to slide into that as I go down. Now, won't really work here because I'm not fully weighting it. But if I am abseiling now and that prusik touches the ATC, best case it will get jammed in there. But actually, what is far more likely to happen is when the prusik touches the ATC, it'll just release it, the same as your hand being on it. So you'll be potentially upside down, maybe unconscious, sliding down the rope with your prusik not doing anything useful. So I'm not really a fan of that method because it's just virtually impossible to maintain a gap there, and that gap is key. So I'll show you now what I consider a better method of setting up your abseil. Okay, so we'll just get this out of the way. The next one's going to be called an extended abseil, and what we're going to need in addition to the stuff we've just used is just one sling. 120cm sling is ideal with another screw gate. Now I'm going to get this little join out of the way, because if you don't make an effort to get out of the way, you can guarantee it's going to get involved in the knot somewhere when you don't want it. I'm going to thread this through the bottom tie-in loop and the top of the tie-in loops. Pull it through. Gives us a lark's foot or a girth hitch. Okay. Now, I used to go around just the belay loop, which is safe. Okay, it's not the end of the world, but that's only one point. These are blooming strong, like super strong. But if it is worn or something and you haven't caught it and that fails, it's only one point of failure. And that has happened to a really worn belay loop. This does not happen to good quality harnesses that are in good condition. Okay, it will only happen if your harness is knackered and you haven't replaced it. But it's still only 1 point. So we'll go through both, and we've got 2 points. So if one did fail, well, we've still got the other one. Obviously far from ideal, but I reckon two's got to be better than one. And importantly, I use an Arc'teryx harness. If you read the instructions that come with your Arc'teryx harness, probably on other ones as well, it does say really explicitly never to lark's foot anything to the belay loop. Okay, so there you go, it's the manufacturer saying it, so it's kind of hard to argue against it. You can read loads about it, there's tons of stuff on the net. Black Diamond have done some good stuff about it as well. But personally, I've moved to going through both of those bits. Alright. Next step is about a third of the way up the sling, just to tie an overhand. Pull it through. We've got the advantage straight away with this one, that this gives me a spare end to clip into some anchors and keep myself safe while we're setting up the abseil. I won't do it now because it just keeps things a bit clearer if I don't do it, but that's a real benefit straight away, especially if you're multi-pitch abseiling. Just going to clip it there for now. Same as before now really, get my prusik, give it that 4, 5, 6 wraps around the rope, remembering it's a French prusik, and get my screw gate again. This time though, once it's clipped, I'm going to put it into my belay loop. Okay, that's a nice solid point now. We've talked about only being a single point, but you know, this is kind of our backup rather than our main event, so we have to draw the line somewhere. It works well for this. ATC. Remember, so we can pull a bit of slack through because of all the weight of the rope. This makes life loads easier. Load it in. Remember, it's got to be to both ropes, hasn't it? Slide it up. And we've referred to it as an extended abseil because the belay plate is now extended away from me. So, let's tighten that up a little bit. As I'm abseiling now, that gap, it cannot get any closer. If I was hit by a rock and let go completely, there's that gap there, okay? So whether I twist, go upside down, whatever it might be, still got that gap, the prusik is still going to lock. So it's got to be a better method for me. We can use this spare end as well to our advantage. We said we could clip it into stuff to stay safe when we're setting it up. It also means we can remember which rope to pull, so I need to pull the blue rope in this case to get my ropes down without the knot jamming into the mailon that we talked about. So I can just clip that there. It's going to make its own way down as I abseil, and there's just a little memory jog when I get to the bottom, because often you're abseiling end of a long day, you know, we're pretty tired. Anything we can do to make our lives a bit easier again and have less to remember is great, so I just clip that into there. Jobs are good in. Okay, so extended abseil, maintains the gap, still a French prusik. worst case happens, these two cannot touch. Right. Also, if I was left dangling in space, I'd much rather be dangling from that prusik on a centre point, my belay loop, than leg causing me to twist upside down. It sounds like it's kind of winning in every way conceivable, really. All right. Would I ever abseil without a prusik? Well, kind of. I'm never going to abseil without a backup of some sort. But what we could do with good communication, you must have talked about this beforehand, is you could send your mate down first on a prusik so they can keep themselves safe. When they get to the bottom, they can actually just trail this rope. So if they watch you come down and they have the rope in their hands, if you were to get knocked over by the rock or whatever it might be and end up in free fall because you let go, well, they can just pull down on the rope, and their hands, fireman's brake kind of thing, their hands pulling down is no different from your hands pulling down, so they can actually catch you that way. It probably has some advantages for getting you down as well. If you're up there on a prusik, you know, and your mate needs to get you down somehow, you're unconscious, bad things happening, you're on a prusik, well, they've then got to ascend the rope to get up to you. Again, doable, but it's a whole load of faff and it's hard work. So what might be better is for them to do that, and then they can actually just lower you down just by being really gentle on the rope. They can release it a little bit and manage you down. So that might be an advantage to that way as well. But you must communicate it. You've got to talk about it first. Okay. So there we go. 2 methods of abseiling. First one, hard to maintain a gap. Don't think it's great. Second one, extended abseil, maintains a gap, and it's got loads of advantages for me. I hope that's been useful. If you've got any questions at all, please feel free to drop us a message. Thanks very much.